Hey everybody, I'm here with a quick video on Diddy. Diddy was transferred to Fort Dix in New Jersey, and he seemed to be doing well his first couple of days there. Well, he seemed to be doing too well now. Why? Because they claim that prison officials out there caught Diddy, I guess, partying and Diddy bopping. They said they caught Diddy drinking. Say it ain't so. Say it ain't so. Let me share a screen so we can get more into this story. So, Diddy busted by prison officials for drinking. So, Diddy's sobriety journey took a detour in lockup this week. TMZ has learned he was drinking behind bars and got in some trouble with prison officials. Sources with knowledge tell TMZ Diddy had some homemade alcohol in Fort Dix, the low security prison where he's doing time. We're told that alcohol is made of Fanta, sugar, and apples, which inmates give 2 weeks to ferment into an alcoholic substance. We're told Diddy got caught by jail officials and prison officials plan to move him from his old unit into a new one. Two sources tell TMZ prison officials have now reversed their decision and Diddy will stay put. Whatever that means. I don't know. I mean, they said Fort Dix is low security. I mean, how much lower can you get? You may recall Diddy made a big deal about his sobriety to the judge prior to his sentencing last month, telling the court he was sober for the first time in 25 years. He also said he had lost his way due to substances. He wrote in a letter to the judge, "The old me died in the jail, and a new version of me was reborn. Prison will change you or kill you. I choose to live." We shared pictures of Diddy hanging around the New Jersey prison yard last week, and he seemed to be the life of the proverbial party, laughing and smiling while shooting the you know what with his fellow inmates. Diddy was convicted on 2 counts of violating the Mann Act back in July and received a 50-month sentence in October. He was transferred to Fort Dix last week. And we contacted the prison, and an official told us they have no information about the incident. A lot of times when these tabloids or news outlets get this information, it's an inside correctional officer that is usually blabbering their mouth. I remember back in the R. Kelly case, there was correctional officers who ended up not getting in an ounce of trouble that was given a lot of information about R. Kelly to the blogs. So and you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the problem I have. The problem I have is you should be more worried about cleaning up prisoners being able to make this drink or bring substances into the jail, because when you have a vulnerable client, and this is bigger than Diddy, when you have anybody who perhaps got arrested because of taking substances or being intoxicated in public, they're vulnerable because obviously they're an addict of some kind. And so when they go in jail, they shouldn't be able to get the very thing that brought them there easier. Let's take a listen.
Has settled in for his 2-year stint at Fort Dix prison. He seems to be getting along just fine based on pictures that TMZ obtained.
He seems like the life of the party, if you want to call it that.
If you want to call it that.
If you want to call prison that. It is minimum security. But yeah, he was getting acquainted with some of his fellow inmates and smiling even, seeming to be enjoying whatever the conversation was. And look, he has only Diddy, we know that Diddy has friends all over show business. But when you're that well connected, when you go to prison, of course there's going to be someone there that you know.
Short story, Diddy is a huge celebrity. And aside from the scandal, which only elevates his celebrity when you get in prison, you got to remember that a lot of the people in there look at this guy as he's the biggest celebrity I've ever seen in my life. So the attention is laser focused on him.
And by the way, there is another celebrity there who Diddy actually knew before they both ended up at Fort Dix.
Fancy meeting you here.
It's kind of like that. He went in a few weeks before Diddy ended up there. That is former NBA star Sebastian Telfair.
Yeah, Sebastian Telfair, not just NBA star, one of the legends of New York high school basketball. Very famous as a high school player.
Yep.
Diddy somehow got to know him and I guess has maintained some sort of a, I don't know, relationship,
Yeah,
but
I
they
don't know
knew
what
each
they
other
were-
over the years.
What's he in for?
I believe he had a weapon. It was some sort of weapons charge, some federal weapons charge.
Is that the way you always start a conversation?
Yeah, what are you in
What
for?
are you in for?
Yeah,
I think how it goes in movies.
I think it starts with. I think it starts with I didn't do it, but here's what they got me at. Yeah.
Well, that's understood
Yeah,
when
right,
they say,
right,
what are you
right,
in for?
right,
That's why they don't say, what did you do?
Yeah.
So a lot of people are saying, look, he's going to serve until for the next 2 years. I don't know about that. I mean, he's going to serve around that. He may serve less because there are credits you can get in prison. When you think about it, because I was thinking about this over the weekend, that this is best case scenario for Diddy. He knew he was going to get convicted of the Mann Act. That was a given because it was all laid out in the trial. What he didn't know is the other charges that could have landed him in prison for the rest of his life. So getting convicted only of the Mann Act is a win, and he really couldn't have expected much more than this and in a minimum security prison.
He comes out of this with very little baggage. I think he comes out as a huge star that people are going to welcome. He's not coming out with a sort of a mark of, oh, you guys think differently? I think he comes out as I don't think anybody really holds this against him anymore. I got to tell you.
No, I think people remember. And I got to be honest, I think there are people who will see these photos and be pissed off about it, that he seems to be, I won't say living it up.
No, I agree.
But he's smiling, he's happy. That's not what people who think he should have been convicted of the other charges.
You want a chain gang?
That's what they want to see.
Yeah,
They
I
want to
mean,
see
the difference is,
retribution.
you're right that he basically won that case. But what I think you're wrong on is that Cassie video is
The public
etched in
remembers
people's
it, and
memories.
that's why people will
I disagree.
find this.
I just disagree. Well, time will tell if he comes out with the hero's welcome.
But
or
you
not.
know, time does. Look, you look at Chris
2
Brown.
years from now could be a different story.
Look at Chris Brown. The Rihanna pictures, the beating pictures were horrific.
Yeah.
And it stayed with him for years, but it's distant memory now.
It's distant memory, but again, I will say, and we said this before, is yes, we saw her face, but they didn't see him beating her.
I know.
And there's a difference there. I don't, and again, I still say nothing is, the way it looks right now. 2 years from now could be different.
Yeah.
But right now, I think there are a lot of people who are saying this guy's living the life of Riley in there, and they don't want to see that.
And the final thing is Donald Trump. That we have told you that he was vacillating on whether to give him a pardon, and that some people in the White House were telling him don't do it, but he's talked about this publicly 3 times, knowing it's on his desk. And Donald Trump is one of those people who the last voice in his head, he may just impulsively do it.
And also, it's a card he can hold for now, that he'll play if he needs to. He will.
Yeah, I mean, do not discount Donald Trump giving Diddy a pardon. That is
very much on the table.
Absolutely on the table. Yeah.
I'm Robert Smith, and I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia. If I was in prison with Diddy, I would be learning so much about how to become a better businessman and trying to be one of the best businessmen of all time, because he's a business-savvy businessman.
What an interesting...
no doubt.
That's interesting.
There's no doubt that there are going to be people who want advice from him, who want to learn what he's learned about being, like you said, a businessman, being in show business.
So wait a minute. He will
be the center of attention.
He's on laundry detail right now.
Right.
Do you think it's out of the question that the people who run that prison might say, we're going to have you give seminars on business to these guys?
And if you're Diddy, you say, absolutely. Whatever you need me to do, because like you said, that's where those credits come in, and it could shorten his sentence.
Yep.
Well, if you're not following the rules, though, you can your sentence can remain as is, right? You have to do the whole sentence that you're supposed to do. So listen, disappointing to hear. Because you just want to hear that people have learned some type of lesson and doing better. But I also know that addiction is a disease, and that's why they always tell you too that, you know, if you're coming out of your addiction, you can't go around and back to the same places where you were that made you sick, so to speak, because you're just going to fall back into it. So it seems like the minute he had the opportunity to engage in some type of, even if it's homemade alcohol, he took the bait. I don't know. You know, like I said, these are sources. You never know what's true, what's not true. But all I could say is, people, let me know your thoughts on the story. Chat with me in the comments. And when I get opportunity, I will chat back. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you will be notified. If you are a subscriber, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this story. And I'll see you in the next video.